Did you know that on TikTok, or not on TikTok, I saw this on TikTok, on Amazon, this time I'm going to talk, it's kind of fun, I think you should try it.
Okay.
You can buy covers for these that are like big mics so you can hold them.
Oh.
Isn't that kind of fun?
I was trying to think of a song that I could do like a run or something.
Oh.
I'm going to clip mine. Because I wasn't having as much fun as I wanted to.
She's not having fun with the mic, but I'm really loving it.
I support your journey.
Thank you. Thank you.
How was your Saturday?
So far, I went grocery shopping. I stopped and got the most delicious caramel macchiato.
Oh man, I thought I almost got a Starbucks.
We went to Seven Brew.
Okay.
It was my first time ever having caramel macchiato from
Sounds
Seven
good.
Brew. It was pretty good. I'm usually just like a cold brew girl.
But I'd already had a Monster and a cup of coffee this morning.
And now a Coke?
But who's counting?
Thought we were hydrating.
I'm on a fitness journey this year. I've had coffee, Monster, and a Coke shooter.
Coke shooter. Hey, those are the perfect little size. They're only 100 calories.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh.
What's
Are we staying?
the vibe?
The vibe this week. I can't stop with the microphone. I love it. Being a teenager was the vibe. The 80s?
Yes.
The 80s. I had to throw that one in there.
Yeah, I that was like my favorite part of the reenactments.
Yeah. Was the 80s and the hair.
Her bike, her hair, her earrings. I thought they did a good job with that.
I did too. This is starting to feel a little awkward.
Nice.
I'm just going to keep rolling with it. But I also have Finding Answers.
And what about Sibling Bonds?
Okay. Yeah, kind of.
Go with that. Weird Parents.
Heavy on the weird parents. Heavy on the weird parents.
Weird Parents build character.
They do. They do. It's so, before I tell the story, or we tell the story together, I just want to say that I don't think if I was presented with a group of several people that I would ever pick these people out to be family members. You know what I mean?
Wow, what a good point.
Like,
yeah. What an interesting observation.
The son is very much giving Bill Gates. The dad is giving very much
Hitman?
I mean, something.
Dad is giving chauvinism. He's giving
Biker gang.
terror.
He's giving lived several lives.
If PTSD was a person.
Yes. Nailed it. It would be Ron
Pandos.
Thank you.
Yeah. And what's Mom giving?
Mom is giving
I'm reading your mind right now.
Okay.
But just instead of a name, describe.
Yes. It was not a name. It was Mom is giving clueless.
Oh man. Poor communicator.
Mom is giving just nothing. She's giving nothing.
If PTS survivor was a person.
It would be Mom.
Yes. Spineless.
Yes.
Gosh. I just never felt like she one time said the right thing. Or the thing that I would have said, I guess. So the right thing, right?
I guess, yeah. Depending on the story, maybe.
I don't know. I just thought her behavior was so weird.
It was really weird.
All right, now that we've told you a little bit about the characters.
Sneak peek.
You have to watch this all the way to the end. And also save yourself 4 hours. There is a really long documentary about this case on TV. We'll tell you guys where you can find it at the end. But I could not believe the twists, the turns, the drama.
The drama. I was, at first, when I first started watching it, I was like, oh, why is this even a show? Case closed. But by the end, I have a completely different opinion.
Yes, me too.
Okay, good. Good.
Me too.
I'm intrigued to know. So we're going to talk about Jennifer Pandos, a teenager who was 15 years old in the 80s, 1987, when she went missing.
Yes. A little bit about Jennifer, I guess. Yeah. She had an older brother, Stephen. He was, how much older? 4 years older, maybe? 3 or 4?
Yeah, I would say probably 4, because he was old enough that he was away from college.
He was off at college. So in the home, it was just the mom we just described, the dad we just described, and Jennifer, who was 15 years old. How would you describe her?
Jennifer? I would describe her as, based on what they gave us, a person that knows what she wants. Yeah. Like, she seems like a typical teenager, but also like she was going to do whatever she wanted.
Well, it's so weird because that was one of the first things I noticed in the documentary. They were asking all these different people that had been in Jennifer's life to describe her, and every single person said something different.
Yes, they did.
They'd be like, she was independent. The next person would be like, she was so clingy.
Yes.
They would say she was super fun, and the next person would say she was brooding.
And that seemed to me to be a common theme throughout the entire, not even just about Jennifer, about who did it, about what went on. Everybody was giving different accounts.
Yeah.
Which was really strange.
So on February 10th of 1987, that's the night that she goes missing. But prior to that, she had been in an on-again, off-again relationship with a young man named Tony Tobler, and had, within I would say 6 or 8 months, the two had an unplanned teen pregnancy.
Yes.
And opted for an abortion.
Right.
So I'm sorry if you're describing her as moody and this and that. I mean, that was probably a traumatic and painful event for her.
Yeah.
She wasn't getting along with her dad the greatest.
Mm-mm.
The night of her disappearance, she was on the phone with her friend Sharon, I think.
Yes.
And Dad was described by Stephen as just a tyrant. Yeah. What he said goes. He told Jennifer or Jenny to get off the phone. She didn't want to, and then he just kept getting louder. And then that turned into kind of a back and forth where she said, "Fine, Ronald, I'll get off the damn phone."
Oh, she should have been shaking in her boots.
I would have. I mean, she had the bravery to do that. So what was going on there?
I don't know. I think about even when I was growing up versus how kids grew up in the 80s, and you're disciplined different, mm-hmm. You grew up differently. I mean,
people hit their kids.
Yeah, it wasn't uncommon. It was a common practice to do. So I don't know what she was thinking, but she would have to have known she was going to be disciplined for that.
According to Dad, that was kind of the end of it.
Yeah.
They yelled at each other. She got off the phone, and everybody went to bed for the night.
Until the next morning, when Mom's name is Margie, right? Margie gets up and she says it's like 6 o'clock. It's a school day, and usually by then Jennifer's in the shower. She's getting ready to go, mm-hmm. But she comes to the bathroom and her door's still closed. She doesn't hear the shower, and the door is locked, and she cannot get in, and she starts knocking, and Jennifer opened this door, and nothing. So she starts hollering for Ron. And then Ron wakes up, and eventually they get the door open to find that Jennifer is gone.
I think, like, her bed was still made, mm-hmm. Everything. And the only thing in there was a note.
Yes. I think they said she left her coat, too, yeah. Right? Or her coat was still there, but her bag was gone.
Yes.
And it's February.
Yeah. And the note's weird.
The note's so weird.
I think they described it as looking as if somebody had written it with their non-dominant hand.
Yeah.
And do you have the contents of the note?
I have some of the note. It starts out, Mr. and Mrs. Pandos, your daughter is with me. She is fine. She's having some problems, though. She needs some time away from this place, 3 to 5 days max. She is like a daughter to me, and I'm like a dad to her. Here are some of Jennifer's quotes. And then, still written by this non-dominant hand, it's what Jennifer is supposedly quoted to say, I'm fine. I just need time. I don't have the rest of the note right here, but I know it says things like, please go to work.
Yes.
I'll be home in a couple of days. Put money in my bank account. If my friends call, tell them I'm sick. Like,
cancel my doctor's appointment.
Yes. Yes. Like, just, yeah.
It's bizarre.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Regarding the note.
Okay.
Because last week's episode, we talked about American Nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
And Aaron Quinn was told by these intruders to do what they said. And he did.
Right.
Jennifer's parents went to work, like she said.
I 100% would have called the cops.
Would you?
Oh, I know I would have. Immediately. What's this weird note? Where is our... She's 15. Okay, but then I also... So they're saying we followed the note. We went to work. We didn't call the cops because they wanted to follow the note, right? But they didn't put money in her bank account.
Which is why, how are you going to follow half the note? Which is what Stephen has argued.
Yes.
So eventually, they call the police.
Eventually, the police are finally freaking notified.
I think it was 3 days.
3 days.
3 days had went by, and then they finally, I don't think they ever said what clicked and made them say, it's time to call the police.
Was it because she said, I'll be back in a few days, maybe?
Could be.
I don't know. They never communicate their thoughts.
No.
At all.
None of them.
No.
It was actually really irritating to me to watch. I just feel like nobody was saying anything. It was just the same facts repeated.
But there were a lot of words.
Right.
Yeah. The police primarily focus on the parents.
Right.
They're honed in on the parents. And there's some varying accounts because some people in the family and the police say it was months before they told anybody in their families.
Months.
That their daughter was missing.
So I don't know if they said this on the documentary, but I told you I was like digging into Reddit on this. Mm-hmm. Stephen got married. He's been married twice now. And to his first wife, they went to his wedding. Some of the family members were told that Jennifer was just on vacation.
Oh, wow.
I think I saw that Ron's mom never even knew she was missing before she passed.
Okay, that's weird.
How do you not say, even just to say, I don't care if you live 5 states away, Jennifer's missing, it's been 3 weeks since we've seen her. Have you seen her? Like,
did she come to your house?
Right.
That is so weird to me. But Stephen, this is eating away at him over the years.
Yes, it is.
And he eventually cuts off contact with both of his parents, convinced as well that they have done something to his sister. He goes on to have 2 daughters that never meet their grandma.
No, they don't have any relationship with his immediate family.
He takes it a step further and sues them for wrongful death of his sister.
What do you think about that? Do you think, because, so they talked about that just barely.
I know.
Which is so weird because when they start the documentary, that's how it starts. I sued my parents for the death of my sister. And then they barely even mention it ever again.
And the mom complains about it later, but yeah.
And then the dad says something along the lines, him and his new wife says something that isn't his decision. Why would that be his choice to make? Which, if nobody else is going to do it and she's been missing for, at this point, 20 years, what's it going to hurt?
Yeah, spoiler alert, Ron and Margie divorced.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
They divorced.
They are not like the Quins and the Huskins. They are.
So Ron remarries, and Steven's on the phone with them. What do you think about the wife and the dad on that phone call?
The wife had me so annoyed. Like, I just wanted to be like, woman, are you even a part of this family?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Excuse yourself. Like, what was she was like, oh, he didn't do that. Or, oh, they said this.
She basically took the phone and was like, Steven,
yes!
It's me. Back to what I was saying. I'm like, man's trying to talk to his dad.
It seemed like she was trying to make it about her. Like she just wanted a couple of minutes of fame or something. Yeah. I wasn't really here for her.
Oh, so I think that civil suit ends up getting dropped, though.
Yes, I think so. I think so as well.
When they first started talking about it in the docuseries that we watched, I was like, good. Because, I mean, that's like O.J. Simpson was acquitted for murdering Ron and Nicole, but when he was taken to civil court for wrongful death, he was found guilty.
Oh, okay.
And so it's kind of like a loop around, right? To try to get to the bottom of, where is my sister? Where is she? But it ends up kind of going nowhere and getting dropped. And up until this point, I'm with Steven. Like, what did they do that night?
I am too. I think there's like just a few things that for the first 2 episodes, I was like, oh yeah, for sure. That's the parents. The note. So they had the note forensically examined or something of the sort and had people's handwriting compared. And they say that this has to be written not by Jennifer, but by somebody who would know her schedule, and that would be her parents.
Right.
So that was like, for me, oh, well, yeah, they did it. But then also, something we haven't mentioned is after Ron and Margie divorced, Ron had some run-ins with the law. He was opening up bank accounts where he shouldn't have been. Then he was on parole and was owning guns.
And also we didn't mention, which made me convinced it was the parents, was Jennifer lived in a gated community.
Yes.
Did you grow up in a gated community?
Oh, yes. Was it the sweater?
Yes. So did I. And so that's how we know nobody's getting in or out of that gated community without going past the guy at the guard shack. Right. I don't know what it's called. But no, we didn't really grow up. Just kidding. But she did.
She really did.
So, and it's a mile from her house, approximately, out of the neighborhood.
Yes. Yeah.
So how'd she get in or out? Unless I'm thinking Dad put her in a trash bag and drove her out.
Right.
At some point.
Yes. That was my first thoughts too, because right after, Margie just kept saying, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. And even the way she
was saying that was like, or she would kind of say, I didn't carry her out. I didn't see her after this.
Exactly.
Like, she knew he did.
She knew something, but she wouldn't let it on. But didn't she say that the night that Jennifer went missing, Ron, went for a drive and went to his mom's or something?
Oh, yes. Right.
So, I mean, he left the gated community to go where, really? Because it's the 80s. It's not like we got cameras every single inch of the world now.
Don't have to find my phone on his
right. App. This is no Murdoch situation.
No. Yeah, so she could have been taken out of there by him and be anywhere.
But also, while he was in jail, the police, for these other unrelated crimes, the police questioned him, and he eventually drew a map, said he was going to lead them to Jennifer's body, and then they were like, okay, let's go. And he said, never mind.
What? If that's true, what the hell?
Right.
But I don't 100% always trust the police. And
correct.
In the early 90s, They might have slapped the shit out of him for a half an hour.
Yeah.
That's probably still going on today.
Right.
So, I don't know. If he did that, that's so weird.
And then, yeah, why would you do that for any reason? And then, I know, somebody was distracting me. I'm so sorry. But why would you if you had zero guilt about anything?
I don't know. Unless he's just messing with him because he's so annoyed. During the first 1 or 2 episodes, they introduce us to Jennifer's friends.
Yes. Tell me what you think about Sharon. Describe her. Describe Sharon for the viewers.
I can't. You do it.
Sharon, to me, was she was a storyteller.
Yeah.
I felt like.
That's a good one.
Like, I don't know the exact words I want to use, but she was very, like, she shows a lot of emotions in her face when she's talking, which isn't a bad thing, but it's just a little bit different.
Yeah, she's different. I know. I cannot put my finger on any of these people because Sharon probably will, at the end of the day, be the best, most authentic one out of the whole series. Because then we meet Jenny's ex-boyfriend, Tony, and his wife, Corey.
Yes. And
back in high school, or gosh, was she in middle school? I mean, 15, she was in high school.
Yeah.
It was the Tony, Corey, Jenny drama.
Love triangle
drama. And we kind of know that a little bit at this point. But you think, oh, they were 15 and
they're teenagers. Like, yeah.
But you got to remember, Jenny had this unplanned pregnancy and then an abortion. And in the meantime, Tony gets with Corey. But Tony, yeah. But he's going back and forth between the two girls.
Yes. And Jennifer doesn't like Corey.
No.
Sharon, there's so many people.
I know.
Sharon made that clear that she would, like, make little comments or, like, just do, like, little high school stuff to Corey.
Would you like your boyfriend's other girlfriend?
No.
Hell no. I'm gonna, whatever it is, I'm like, oh, her hair's too blonde and she's way too thin. Like, I'm gonna roast her any way I can.
I want to unnecessarily roast people on the podcast.
Okay, I'm just
because we're pretty good at it.
But then that you see them speaking, they're adults in their 50s, right? How old are they now? I guess they would.
I mean,
yeah,
probably about. Yeah,
they're adults in their 50s. And Tony.
That look is how I feel about Corey.
Oh, Corey too, because she's playing like it's all nice and good. And then she's speaking for Tony when he can't find the words. And Tony was trying too hard.
Yes, he was.
I mean, why would anybody suspect me? It's not like we went out for very long anyway.
Yeah. And Corey saying, oh, it was just a very high school relationship. Like,
those are the most deadly.
Right. Have you ever met a high schooler?
That's when you're still crazy and you're in love.
You think you've got it all figured out.
That statement's not doing what you think it's doing.
No. Yeah. She was very much giving, this is my man, like Gypsy Rosewood with Ryan.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Tony like, yeah, that's right. That's yours. You better stick beside him.
As you wish.
Yes, as you wish, my darling. But, Jenny goes missing. And these two grow up, get married. I assume have kids. Did it say?
They do have 4 kids. And just live life like nothing happened.
And even when they were kind of showing them early on during the interviews, I'm like, what? Why are they here?
Yes. Yeah.
Because don't you find my ex-boyfriend from when I was 15.
You stay missing.
That's right. You just leave me and go interview him and his new wife.
Right.
Oh, that's why I ran away.
Like, this is it, guys. What you're doing right now, this is exactly the reason.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, this was the reason. But I still didn't think too much of them.
No, I don't really. I feel like they just gave us enough of them at the beginning to just be like, just know that they're there, but they're not important yet.
Yeah. Oh, I almost felt like, well, they're reaching because she's been missing for so long. She was so young. That was her acquaintances when she went missing.
Yes.
You know, I mean, that's kind of what I thought. But then there's these uncomfortable scenes with Stephen and kind of each of his parents. Like we had talked about a minute ago, either on the phone or in person, where he's just blatantly confronting them to their face. Or with police.
Right.
Or with the threat of a lie detector. He is coming at them hard.
Yes, he is. I think, spoiler alert on my opinion, I think he's in too deep.
Yes.
I think he's too close. Because sometimes, I mean, it's just like, if you lose your keys and you're like so focused and they're sitting right in front of you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I think he's dug too deep into this. And I get that it's his sister and he wants answers, but I don't know. I just feel like he's too close. Like, he just needs to take a step back and give it some time a little bit.
They filmed this docuseries over 6 or 7 years.
7 years I saw. And at first, because I went back and read just a little bit about the director, because Stephen reached out to her to say, like, I want to find answers. But at first they said, we're not doing this unless we have Ron on board, unless we have Margie on board. We want all of these people on board, otherwise we won't do it. And it took them 3 years before everybody would agree to be a part of this series.
I can't even believe they got all of those people to agree, because you couldn't even get Margie to sit down and say, I'm devastated my daughter's gone.
No, she never once said how she felt.
Yes,
about
never.
Any of it. About being accused, about her daughter being missing, about her ever coming home, anything. In fact, there was one point where she moved and didn't even tell the police that she had moved. What if they had an update? What if she came home?
Yeah.
What if...
Man, I kept hoping as we were going, like, I hope this wraps up with Jenny just walking in the door.
Something, yes.
Because it was just, and I still feel like we don't know for sure.
Right.
But things take a turn.
Yes.
When the discovery, which they had all along.
They seem to have everything all along.
Of course. I mean, these aren't new letters between Jenny and her then love interest, love triangle.
Yes.
1/3 of the love triangle. Tony and Jenny writing back and forth about, well, all kinds of different things. It might be, I love you, I'm obsessed with you. Yeah. This is from Tony. I want to have kids with you when I grow up. Right down to then her kind of responding with, I know you're at Corey's, you dickhead, basically.
Basically, she also mentions in one of the letters that she wrote to him, which was dated the night that she went missing, that he had been too rough with her. I think that may have been in the same letter that she had put, I know you're with Corey. Yes. I have bruises from where you grabbed me and shoved me. I will, something along the lines of, what did she say? Like, I'll help you, or like kind of leaving it very vague that she was going to do something, whether it be to Corey or to him or to herself.
Yes, I'm going to do something to make you pay, basically.
Yeah, basically is what it said.
But go ahead, sorry.
But they had these letters, and like you said, the case kind of takes a turn, and they say, we want to look at Tony, and we need some of these letters. to compare his old handwriting from back in the day to the note
Yes.
from 20 years ago. And so they get, I mean, probably 50 letters. They had a ton.
I just can't believe it took that long.
Decades. Yes.
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 It took too damn long. So what did they think that Tony could be the writer of the mystery letter that was left in her room that night?
I think at first they did think that, right?
Yes, yeah. Similar enough. But what they find in the notes is this mention of this man named Charlie.
Yes.
All the time. Tony would write Jenny and say, I'm just dropping you a few lines from Charlie's.
Yes.
Like he used to write in the 90s.
Yeah. Tried to call you earlier, but you didn't answer because he's calling the house phone.
Yes. Or me and Charlie are going to go fishing.
Yeah.
So they're like, who's Charlie?
I want to know how Stephen had never heard of Charlie before.
I know.
But I guess now that I say that out loud, he was away at college.
True.
So, and Tony was a few years older than Jennifer, and Charlie was a few years older than Tony, I think it said.
Yes.
So, I guess, just forget that I ever said that.
No, that was fun. Rabbit hole. But no, you do think, because this is a small town.
Right.
People just kind of know of, but he had no idea. And then introduce Charlie into this docuseries. And he is very interesting as well. The producers kind of go and find him, and it looks like he's panhandling.
Yeah.
On the side of the road. He has a sign, but I couldn't tell what it said.
Neither could I.
But it very much seems like we'll work for food kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he agrees to, he knows something, he says, and he will meet with Stephen and talk to Stephen about it. Side note about Charlie, he only has one arm.
Why is that a side note, guys? Let me just ask, because they kept saying it in the documentary.
I know, that's why I thought I should say it too.
They said it like 3 times. He's got one arm, and I just wanted to be like, I've got 2, like, move on.
When they kept saying, who's this one-arm guy? The one-arm mystery man. I'm like, this is very much giving The Fugitive. But come on, guys. We don't need another rabbit hole.
Just say, where's Charlie May?
Yeah, and let us meet Charlie and see he has one arm.
And then we can say, Charlie has one arm. And you guys don't even have to mention it at all.
No. So Charlie comes back to a hotel room where Stephen is staying, because I think Charlie lives further away.
Yeah, I think he lives in Florida.
Oh, that's right. And he comes in and he says he was friends with Tony. They met like in the woods, basically, like a couple country boys, and they smoked some weed together.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said like the cops are listening.
I don't know. Oh, I think they're here. Just kidding.
And they would like take turns like picking up for each other, and they'd go fishing, and they were just like country buddies.
Yeah, just hanging out.
And Charlie says to Stephen, Tony called me up one day and said, how would you get rid of a dead body?
My response, if you called me up and asked me that question, actually, I don't think I would have had a response. I would have just been like, where are you?
Exactly. First of all, I feel like I'm going to be like, I need your truck. Come over here.
Right. But
ask no questions.
It's the 80s, so
right.
You didn't have to be worried about
phones.
And, people listening on the other side.
So he tells him, he asked me that, and I said, well, if it were me, I'd put it in a 55-gallon drum of acid and let the acid eat the body away.
Not that he's ever thought about it before.
Yeah, he just had that rough. And then Tony said, well, where would I get acid? And he said, well, there's a construction site right near where you live. You can get the barrel and probably the acid there too. Which, what?
Okay, that was my first thought too. And then he did explain in the documentary that there was something at the construction site that they use a specific acid for, which, okay, fine. But my first immediate thought was like, I didn't know you could just go to construction sites and get massive gallon barrels of acid.
Say,
But apparently that's a thing.
I know. So, that's what he thinks he did with him. Then we find out that behind the scenes, within the police department, they no longer suspect Mr. and Mrs. Pandos. They're really focusing on Tony, and they've gotten his DNA.
Yeah.
They've called a secret grand jury to try to bring these charges against him. And the whole time that's going on over here, Steven's over here basically in his mom's face calling her a murderer.
Right.
And his dad.
Yeah. He doesn't really talk to his dad, so...
oh God, it felt so uncomfortable and so unfair. And
then he has to decide if he wants to believe that his parents are not the ones responsible and believe what the police are saying. And do I let go? Because he's held on to that for years, that his parents are the ones that have done something to Jennifer.
Mm-hmm.
How do you just decide suddenly?
Oh, man. It's such a pain because that woman lost all those years with her granddaughters, with her only living child, and she was married to a monster.
Right.
No wonder she's a shell.
Yeah. I think that eventually Margie was so tired of saying that I didn't do it, or I had nothing to do with it, that she's just given what she has left. And some of it, it does make her look kind of guilty, but I don't think she had anything to do with it.
You're right. I mean, we're just now coming in on this story, but she's been defending herself.
I mean,
for a long, long time. But where is Jenny? If Tony Tobler murdered Jenny, he was 16, maybe 17 years old, right in that time frame. I don't know when his birthday is, but he was very young. A 16-year-old boy has to call their mom to ask what their insurance is.
Right,
Has to call their mom to ask, what's the speed limit on this road? Like, how would he have gotten rid of her body? Because a 55-gallon bucket full of acid.
Right.
Where's it? Katie, what are your theories?
Well, before I tell you my couple of theories, I just want to know if you have, in your mind, somebody that did it. Like, do you have somebody who's picked out? Or are you just kind of at a loss?
I mean, I obviously would like it to be Tony.
Right.
And just let's clean this up and get her home and buried somewhere.
Right.
But I really don't know, because I don't think a person that young is capable by themselves. And nobody, unless it was the 2/3 of the love triangle together. Because there was a rumor that maybe Jenny was pregnant again.
Yes, I did. Okay, yes. That's one of my theories.
Okay.
That Corey and Tony are in this together. And, I mean, that would make sense.
That'll seal a marriage together,
got married. Yeah. I mean, once you've done that, then what's there left to lose? You know what I mean?
Could you imagine their dark fights? Like, I saw you looking at Becky at the diner. Don't make us kill her too. Like, what the hell?
No.
You look at me every time. Like, I'm serious.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
And just the way they act, which, I mean, they're a couple, so of course.
Oh, of course they're cringe.
And right, of course, they're going to be disgusting. And
Corey's, no disrespect, but she looks like she could kick your ass.
She's a bigger lady.
Yes.
Yeah. And I kind of thought the same thing. Yeah. Like, she looks between the two of them.
Muscle.
And who knows? Maybe Jennifer was small for her age. Mm-hmm. I mean, based on what they were reenacting.
Yeah, she looked like a little
She
kid.
looked just like, yeah. Mm. Okay, so that's theory number one.
Yeah.
Corey and Tony.
Oh.
Second theory is Tony and Charlie.
Yeah.
Charlie made it really seem like him and Tony weren't that good of friends. Like, they only just hung out every once in a while whenever the other needed something.
Right.
But if that's the case, Tony wouldn't have been naming Charlie time after time after time in those letters.
A ton of letters. And Charlie's story has changed a couple times.
He told the police something different.
Yeah, he told the police, this is what he told me he did. But he told Steven, I said, this is what I would do.
Right.
Like, the stories change. You think, though, if you're involved in a murder cover-up with somebody, you're going to sit down and memorize your story.
Oh, yes, you are.
I would think.
Everybody, so like the main police and or the detectives, whatever, that were investigating in the docuseries, their biggest thing was always coming back to the letter. If Corey and Tony did this together, who wrote the letter? Because it's been made clear that it was not Jennifer.
Right.
Was it, did Corey have written the letter?
Right. Did they ever analyze her handwriting?
I don't know. If it was Charlie and Tony together.
I just had an epiphany. If it was Charlie and Tony, I'm sorry, he only has one arm, and it's his non-dominant. So it would make sense for his letter to look like that.
Was he missing the arm as a kid? Like when he was young?
Oh, that's true.
Or did he lose the arm later?
I think he lost it later. I'm sorry. That theory's out.
That's okay. We tried.
Yeah, we tried.
So they did show like bits of Tony's handwriting compared to the letter, and it did kind of look like it could have been, but they said that it was inconclusive.
Mm-hmm.
So they couldn't for sure say that he wrote it. But then my other theory, which is the one that I kind of lean towards the most,
ooh, okay,
is that Tony came to get Jennifer, or Jennifer went to meet him. One of the two.
Yeah.
And, I mean, whether it was he snuck in the gated community, I saw a post that somebody said he could have rode his bike, like back through one of the gates or the fencing or something. But I think the two of them met with the intention of hanging out behind Corey's back. They got into a fight, and Tony accidentally killed her and then had to enlist one of them, Charlie or Corey, for help.
Yeah. Tony's definitely involved.
I think he is involved.
But who was...
There was a second person.
Yeah.
There had to have been. Something else that just popped into my head that we didn't mention is that they had cadaver dogs go and search the property from where they lived at the time. And based on the dog's behavior, they said that there is no body where the dogs were taken, but there was signs of decomposition, meaning a body had been there at one point. So what if Jennifer
it's under their house,
Tony?
like in their crawl
like
space.
a crawl space. But the crawl space was pretty big to me. Like, big enough that you could just walk in.
He was standing up in
Yes, thank you.
But it did look outside.
Yes.
So, and I don't know enough about cadaver dogs, but a possum could have died under there. And that's going to stink.
Yeah.
So.
And that was years after they had moved.
Yeah.
A lot of the quote-unquote evidence that they were showing us in the docuseries, for example, a lie detector test that Margie failed. At the very end of the series, it said, well, that was taken in 2008. 20 years later, she's probably going to fail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I just don't feel like...
Because you're not even going to be sure of your own memory.
Right.
Huh. All we know for sure is Jenny Pandos disappeared February 10th, 1987, with a very weird note. That has me just thinking JonBenet, because they said that note was from a note. That paper was from a notebook in her room.
Oh, yes, they did say that, didn't they?
So you're telling me people are so crazy they'll write a note in your own house after they lure you, kidnap you. One thing we also didn't mention, another suspect.
Yes, you just read my mind.
Yeah. She babysat for this man.
His name was Kerry Hendricks.
And what was his creep factors? I forget.
He had already been arrested. So they located Kerry. At the beginning, they said they couldn't find him, but they do end up finding him. And from him, he says, so he had been arrested for kidnapping and attempted abduction or something, but he said it was a robbery. And he went to take the woman's purse, and she thought she was being kidnapped.
We're going?
Oh, yeah. Did you? Never mind.
No, I don't buy that. I would definitely let go of my purse.
Did you? They did talk to the person who was allegedly abducted.
Oh, okay.
Did you hear that portion?
Part. I missed that part.
It was very brief. She wasn't even shown on camera. It was just a phone call. She described the events from her point of view, and she just said a man came up behind her, pulled her purse, but shoved her in the car, tried shoving her in the vehicle because she was getting in her car. And she said she turned around, and I'm not going to say exactly what she said word for word, but it was something along the lines of, I condemn you in Jesus' name. Something. I can't remember exactly what it was. And he ran away. Like, it scared him off.
Okay. I'm going to remember that potion.
Yes, yeah. I condemn you. I don't think made Jesus condemn you. I don't know what she said.
I put X on you in the name of the Lord.
And then he ran away.
Okay, it worked.
But anyways, Kerry said that it was a robbery. Charges say it was kidnapping. So that was like why it was a red flag. But he said that Ron called him up and said, I'm coming to search your house. And he said, come on over. She's not here.
Yeah.
And the police said the same thing. And I didn't get that. I did not get the vibe that he was.
That felt like a red herring.
Yes, like, yeah. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Man. Well, so this 7-year documentary style story of all the suspects, all the players, the tragedy of losing this young girl. Gosh. And we end with no answers.
Yeah. Pretty much this is it. This is where they left off.
Yeah. Was it Tony? The dad, gosh. None of them were helping themselves.
No. The dad seems to me like he just wants to fight.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't really matter what anybody says. He just wants to argue about it. Yeah.
I'm right, you're wrong.
Exactly. Yeah. But at the end, Stephen and Margie did end up making up. He said he wanted to keep it kind of private, so they didn't show anything on camera, but I think he wants her to be in his life, and he wants to have a relationship and have his mom there for his daughters. Yeah. So I do.
I felt a small feeling about him wanting to keep that private, which I understand, but also you let him air where you were screaming at her in a court, in an interrogation room. You did too, do it, Mom.
Right.
Like, you don't think you owe her that public forgiveness and apology and love. I guess forgiveness. I mean,
something.
Yeah, but I mean, I understood it, but I also didn't like it because from her point of view, man, everybody's been publicly slamming me
for years.
My Decades. Own son couldn't have given me like one carnation while I was still alive.
Right. I feel so bad for Margie.
Yeah, I do too.
I really do.
She's dead inside.
Yeah, she really is. She has nothing.
Relatable. I'm sorry. Still little
and that's the vibe.
A little tiny spark in there somewhere.
There is.
Yes.
It's buried, but it's melting as the warmer weather comes.
Oh, I hope so. What else? You got anything else?
I don't think so. I think that pretty much sums up the vibe with the Pandos family. Maybe one day we'll have some answers, but nothing right now. I do have my kitty cat is being very loud and obnoxious. But I think that's it. So thank you for tuning in to another episode of What's the Vibe with Katie and Amy. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, rate,
review,
shop. I don't know. Anything you want to do. Tell your friends.
Tell a friend. It's required.
Just one. That's all I ask.
If you don't share this with 5 friends, you'll have 7 years bad luck.
I condemn you.
Bye.
Bye.